Welcome once again, everybody, to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk around the NHL. I'm Apr.26 with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. Matt, today we're going to talk about the second round as well. We'll get everybody up to date with the award nominations and just the day-to-day stuff from signings and injuries around the NHL. But first, what was your record coming out of the first round? Because I don't think too many people did too well.
Yeah, let's see here. So we had, the Islanders in Pittsburgh. I got that one wrong. I had Pittsburgh.
No, I think. Are you sure you had Pittsburgh? 'Cause I had the Islanders. I know I had the Islanders.
I picked Pittsburgh, so that I got that one wrong. I got Tampa Bay wrong. I got Boston right.
I got Tampa Bay wrong, but I predicted that Columbus would give them all they could handle off the air from our last one. And I even told one of my other friends that Columbus was going to pull off the upset. And so I felt like I was pretty close on that one, but on the show I went with Tampa because it was the obvious choice.
Yeah, I think I had Tampa in like 5 games, so that's.
I think I said Tampa in 6 or Tampa in 7 in that series.
Yeah.
I thought Bobrovsky could steal a few, and with Seth Jones and stuff, and man, it just goes to show you just got to make the playoffs, right?
Oh yeah. In the East, I went one for 3 because I had Washington being Carolina. So Boston was my one pick there. I think in the West, I picked Dallas to win over Nashville, so I got that one. I think I did pick Calgary over Colorado, though I wasn't going to be surprised if Colorado did win that series, but for different reasons, because I thought it was going to be because of goaltending and all that, but that ended up being the opposite. So I got that one wrong. St. Louis, I think we both got right. I think we both chose St. Louis over Winnipeg. And the last one was San Jose and Vegas. So I think we both got that one wrong because I think we both picked Vegas.
Yeah. So you went 2 and 2, and 1 and 3. So 3 for 8. Wow. In the East, I had Washington, Tampa, Boston, and the Islanders. So I went 2 for 2. In the West, I had Colorado, St. Louis, Nashville, and Vegas. So I went 2 for 2 on that side. So 500, but I mean, hey, who knew that the top 4 seeds would all fall out? I only predicted one of them would. On air, I thought deep down that Columbus had that chance, so potentially 2 of them. I didn't see Vegas losing that series, but that was a crazy series, and we can touch on some of that stuff. I know if you haven't seen our last episode, we review the first round playoff matchups. Go ahead and rewatch that, catch up. So that leaves us with let's start with the East, the game that's on right now. Islanders, Carolina. Who do you got, and how many games?
All right, so I got the Islanders, and I'll go in 6 games for the Islanders. I think so far in today's game, it's been a goaltending matchup between Leonard and Mrazek. This is the one out of all the matchups. This is the one that I really don't know which way it's going to go, just because the Islanders played so well defensively in that first round, and they got timely scoring from guys like Brock Nelson and Jordan Eberle in that first round. But Carolina, I don't know, they usually play with that upbeat offensive game where they get tons of shots on goal, even though it's like not all of them are like great shots or whatever, but they're continually peppering the opposing goalie, and the way Mrazek's been going, it really intrigues me. But yeah, I got the Islanders in 6, and then in the was the other one here, the Boston Columbus series. I'm gonna because I want Boston to lose this round, just because I'm not a fan of Boston. I will go Columbus in 7 games in this round, and Boston won in overtime last night. But I think that this will be a series that will go back and forth.
I'm gonna go. I've got the Islanders in 6, like yourself. Only because of Barry Trotz's comment today. I loved it. They said, are you remorseful at all that Washington's out? And he goes, you got to kind of feel bad for them. But he goes, I'm happy I'm not there answering all the questions right now. So he's having fun with it. I'm sure that he's further along than the Capitals are. And so Islanders in 6. I also think Boston will win in 6. Going to keep going with the big bad Bruins. They got 2 lines right now that can score. They got their 4th line is super fast. I mean, Corrali and Achari are guys that I wouldn't want to play against on a regular basis. They're hitting and they're fast and they're good penalty killers. So Boston, to me, is just going to get it done. It's going to be a grind, though. I can see that one going 6, maybe even 7.
Yeah.
And even I'm surprised the Islanders in Carolina, as much as the Islanders are so good defensively, but both teams are just grinding it out in that game tonight. There's a lot of hits going on, not just from the Martin, Cizikas, and Clutterbuck line. But let's go over to the West. Let's start off with St. Louis, who drew first blood on Dallas. And then let me know what you think on the game tonight, San Jose and Colorado.
Yeah, so I think St. Louis will be my pick in this series. I know they won game 1 already, but I'll take them in 5 or 6 games. I think St. Louis has better depth than Dallas. The one thing that could cancel that out is if Ben Bishop continues to play out of his mind, the way that
Softies last night though.
Yeah. He had 2 goals that he would have liked back, but he also had that one game in Nashville where he let in a couple that he didn't like, and then the rest of the series he was basically lights out. So I'll take St. Louis just because I think they have better depth than Dallas. Like they got their top line, but other than that, I don't trust, like, outside of guys like Matt Zuccarello, I don't trust the rest of their lineup. And then John Klingberg and Miro Heiskanen, great defenseman on their back end. I saw John Klingberg in the 3rd period in last night's game. He played 12 minutes and 59 seconds of the 3rd period, including 2 shifts over 2 minutes long. So you want to talk about a guy that was just an absolute monster on the back end there last night. Just crazy. But I think St. Louis will be too much for Dallas to handle, and they'll advance to the conference finals.
And what about your other series? Who do you got?
Ooh, San Jose and Colorado. So this will be an intriguing series for me, but I'm a big Nathan MacKinnon fan with the way that he's played in these playoffs. I will go Colorado in it has to be in 6 or 7 games. I'll go with the upset there. I think Philip Grubauer has been playing great in net, and the way McKinnon, Rantanen, those big 2, and I know Landeskog, he hasn't put up as much of the offensive numbers as those 2 guys, but those guys, I think they can lead them into the next round. And Colorado will be getting Samuel Girard back on their back end, and that'll be a big boost with Cale Makar there as well, and Tyson Barrie, Eric Johnson. I think that's a really solid defense because San Jose's been basically playing with four defensemen, basically going with the Nashville model, where you play the four big guys, and then the bottom pairing doesn't get that many minutes. But Colorado, they have 6.
Cole's a great penalty killer, though.
Yeah. Colorado has 6 great defensemen, and their depth up front, actually, that was one of my big question marks. They really stepped up in that first round. But San Jose is going to be no pushover. The way Carlson offensively has been playing, and Brent Burns, and it basically comes down to where Martin Jones' game is going to be in this series, because as the series went along, he started to play really good, but you still have a couple question marks with some of the goals that he's let in here and there. But up front, San Jose, they probably got the best depth out of all the teams remaining in these playoffs up front. And if there's one guy that you want to see win the Stanley Cup, Joe Thornton, he's a good guy to get behind to push for them to win the Stanley Cup.
I'm going to take St. Louis in 6. I think they're just that much better than Dallas. They've been playing great hockey since January 1st, ever since Binnington came in and started playing for them. If he's healthy, I think St. Louis wins that series. San Jose, Colorado is a tough one because for me, I want Colorado to win.
Yeah.
San Jose is really banged up from the Vegas series. I can't imagine Pavelski being back for the first couple games. And I wonder what the health is like of Marc-Edouard Vlasic, who's going to be very key to shutting down Landeskog, Rantanen, and McKinnon. And, I want to take Colorado, but my heart says to take Colorado. But I'm going to go San Jose here in 7 games. As much as Martin Jones might have a few games let get away from him, he's going to be able to shut the door in a few games as long as Vlasic is healthy. So San Jose, St. Louis, Islanders, Boston are my 4 picks.
Mm. Yeah, and then mine are Colorado, St. Louis, and Columbus, and the New York Islanders. Who would have said that we would have been putting most of those teams in a sentence to go to the conference finals?
Who's your early cup favorite out of those 8?
If I had to go on paper, it'd probably be Boston and San Jose. Would be
Yeah,
my
you're
two.
predicting Colorado to win.
I know, yeah, but I gotta say that's I'm going more with my heart than my brain. Well, no, it's sort of like where I picked Dallas, where I thought I wanted Dallas to win, but I thought Nashville was going to win that series. But I went with Dallas, and I ended up being right there. But sometimes you gotta make some bold predictions. But I really won't be surprised if Colorado does advance just due to the goaltending and the way Grubauer has been going.
So bring us up to speed then on all the trophy nominations and maybe stop at each one. Tell me who you think's going to win, and I'll tell you who I think's going to win.
Yeah, so basically all the trophy nominees have been announced except for the Calder and the Hart Trophy. That will be over the weekend that they announced. The first one, I think we did touch on this earlier in a past episode, but the Selke Trophy, Patrice Bergeron, Ryan O'Reilly, and Mark Stone. I think this might be a tough one, but I was looking up some of Mark Stone's stats. He led the league in takeaways this year by a large margin. I think he had like 122 this season. So I'm going to go with Mark Stone. I'll actually be pretty happy if a winger actually wins it, just because Bergeron, well, the guy just I think he can go a year without winning the Selke. But Ryan O'Reilly had an amazing year in St. Louis. Talk about an absolute steal for St. Louis with some of the guys that they gave up for him. But yeah, Mark Stone's my pick.
I'm going to pick Bergeron.
Simple as that.
Well, if you want to talk about all the players, I don't have much time to talk. So
yeah. Oh, sorry. The next one I have the Mark Messier Leadership Award. Mark Giordano, Wayne Simmons, and Justin Williams. I think this will be between Giordano and Williams, but I'll pick Justin Williams just because what he brought to this year, and with all the post celebrations and all that in Carolina.
I think it'd be between those two as well. I'm gonna have to go. Yeah, let's go Justin Williams. I was thinking Giordano just because of the comeback in Calgary, but I'm with you. I think Williams did a lot of great things in Carolina this year.
We got the Norris Trophy. Brent Burns, Mark Giordano, and Victor Hedman. Brent Burns led all defensemen in points with 83. Just incredible. Mark Giordano was right behind him with 74 points. And Victor Hedman, who I was actually pretty surprised that got nominated this year, the defending champion. But I think Giordano is my guy. I think some notables I would have had over Hedman, though.
Morgan Riley.
Yeah, Morgan Riley, John Carlson, Roman Josi, and Chris Letang. I think all deserve to be nominated over Victor Hedman this year. Even like Ryan McDonough, I thought had a better year than Hedman.
Yeah, I'm going to take Giordano for that one, even though Burns has more points. Based on Doughty's words, I'm going to take Giordano.
I know, yeah.
He deserved it. Like I said, he really brought Calgary full throttle into the West this year.
Yeah, and it's not taking a knock at Brent Burns, because like offensively that is insane. Like he's 34 years old. Like same with Giordano, he's right up there in age. But the way that Burns has been playing consistently offensively year after year, playing like 70 to 80 points is just crazy. But yeah, I think Giordano, since Burns has won a Norris Trophy too, I think it's Giordano's year. But moving on, we got the Vezina Trophy finalists. We got Andrei Vasilevsky, led the league in wins with 39. Robin Lehner, who was part of that duo with Thomas Greiss, who led in the least amount of goals in the NHL, and he also had the second best save percentage, the .930 save percentage there, and Ben Bishop, who led the league in save percentage with a .934, and was second in goals against average with a 1.98 goals against average. Only Jordan Binnington had a better goals against average this year. This is an interesting one, but I'll let you choose, because I gotta think this over. Because
for me, I have to go Vasilevsky, only because based on the amount of games that he played, both Lehner and Bishop only played low 40s. Vasilevsky played just over 60 games. I have to go with Vasilevsky. I mean, unreal season in Tampa for the regular season, anyways. They tied a record because of him and net.
Yeah, I think Vasilevsky, but just to change it up, I'll go with Robin Leonard just because the bounce back year, the numbers and everything were just incredible. I know you could push Thomas Greiss was a big part of that too as well. Not that he didn't have to play that many games, but I thought Leonard just had an unbelievable year. But it is interesting because if you go off of last year's Vezina candidates, like guys that were left off, like Marc-Andre Fleury, who had an incredible year, and he basically played the same amount of games as Ben Bishop this year, but was left off. So it was actually intriguing that the voters actually went with some guys that didn't play or didn't get up to 50 games this year. So that's an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah.
But moving on, we got the Masterton Trophy Award. We got Robin Leonard once again nominated, Joe Thornton, and Nick Foligno. I know, yeah. For me, I think this one's pretty simple. I think it has to be Robin Leonard, though all are deserving. And like Nick Foligno, if you didn't know, I think a couple of his kids had some major health issues throughout during the season that he had to leave the team to deal with on multiple occasions. Joe Thornton coming back from back-to-back serious knee injuries. And is just a complete leader in that room in San Jose. And Robin Leonard, who dealt with drug addictions, alcohol addictions, and he found out that he was actually bipolar as well. Came back, and he had one of the best seasons ever coming off of that. So any of those guys are deserving, but I'll go with Robin
Leonard. Robin Leonard's my pick for that one as well.
Mm-hmm. The Lady Bean Trophy, we got Alexander Barkov, Sean Monahan, and Ryan O'Reilly. I think this is a clear winner. Alexander Barkov, absolute beast. I think he averaged like 22 and a half minutes ice time and only had like 8 penalty minutes this year. But yeah, I think it's a clear choice there in Barkov.
I'm going Ryan O'Reilly. Only 12 penalty minutes and over 80 points for that two-way player. And I mean, think about O'Reilly. Barkov plays against the other team's top defense pair, but O'Reilly plays against the other team's top line. And to have to shut them down night after night and not take penalties, that's pretty impressive to me. That's why I'm going Ryan O'Reilly for that.
The Jack Adams Trophy, this was announced today. We got John Cooper with Tampa Bay Lightning, led the Lightning to the best record in the NHL with 62 wins. Barry Trotz with the New York Islanders had the great turnaround and with the low expectations there on Long Island, or I guess in Brooklyn now, but helped them get to the playoffs and got 103 points this year. And Craig Berube with the St. Louis Blues came in after Mike Yeo was fired earlier in the year and led them from last place in the NHL to 99 points, tying with the Winnipeg Jets for second in the division. I think Barry Trotz, I think he's the front runner here, though any of those coaches, I wouldn't mind winning. But I think Barry Trotz, what can you say?
I'd like to see Barry win it, but I think John Cooper will win it just again because they tied the record with an incredible season. I mean, 62 wins. How does he not win Coach of the Year? Mm-hmm. Who's your pick for? Well, I guess we still have one more trophy, right?
Yeah, one more. We got the Ted Lindsay Award, voted by the players for most exciting player. We have Connor McDavid, Nikita Kucherov, and Patrick Kane. All those guys had career years. I think it has to be Nikita Kucherov this year, 128.
You got to remember the players are voting this one.
I know, yeah. It's like, well, I know it's close because sometimes it's different from most valuable.
It doesn't say most points. It says the most exciting.
I know, yeah, but I gotta say, like, Kucherov's an exciting guy to play, and just like 128 points. I know it's like if you take that into account, that is incredible. The most points since Yager and Lemieux in 95, 96. Just incredible. But McDavid, every time he's on, every time you watch him play, you're just glued to the TV, just what he can do at high speed. And Patrick Kane, incredible bounce back year after a bit of a down year for his standards last year. Over 110 points. Just a small shifty guy, but man, he can make goalies look silly all the time. But any of those guys can deserve it. But I gotta go with Kucherov this year.
I'm going to go with McDavid, only because of the way it's worded, and I think Kucherov will win the Hart this year. And I'm pretty sure it'll be Kucherov, McDavid, and or one other player in the Hart run this year.
Yeah, we'll see, because McDavid, and he didn't get nominated last year because everybody thinks about the team has to make the playoffs for him to be voted in. So I'll be interested to see if they switch it up this year, because man, if you take McDavid and Draisaitl, if you take those two guys off Edmonton, they got nothing there. So, but yeah, if you go by the wording, McDavid does deserve to get nominated. And I know tomorrow is the call. There should be Elias Pettersson, Rasmus Dahlin, and Miro Heiskanen, with Jordan Binnington as an outside shot, just because he only played 30-something games.
Yeah, I think Binnington might crack that top three, but yeah, we'll see tomorrow. Why don't you, before we end today's show, get us up to date on the recent signings and announcements, and then update us on some of the playoff injuries of some of the guys that are no longer playing.
Yeah, so a few signings. The Montreal Canadiens have been actually pretty busy this week, making a trio of signings. They extended 3 players: Christian Folin, a defenseman, a 1 year, $800K, more of a depth defenseman. Nate Thompson, who they acquired in a trade from Los Angeles Kings earlier this year. They gave him a 1 year, $1 million extension. He'll be a fourth-line center. And then they gave Jordan Wheel a 2 year, $2.8 million deal with $1.4 million cap hit. He's actually a guy that, when he started off with Philly, got traded to Arizona, and then Montreal picked him up at the trade deadline. And he actually fit in pretty well there. With the Vancouver Canucks, they extended Thatcher Demko to a 2 year, $2.1 million deal with $1.05 million cap hit. I think with us Canuck fans, I think we're really looking forward to seeing what he can do in a full season in Vancouver. I'm hoping he gets around 30 games this year. And Markstrom getting down to around the 50-52 mark. And getting into injuries, Jesperi Kotkaniemi had an arthroscopic knee surgery in Montreal. He should be ready in time for training camp. Zach Bogosian will be out 5 to 6 months after having his hip surgery with Buffalo. In Montreal, in Calgary, Sean Monahan played with a cracked thumb in the playoffs, so he'll be out a little bit with recovery. With the Winnipeg Jets, some of the injuries they announced: Nikolai Ehlers played with a fractured foot, I believe in the last couple of games, and Brandon Tanev, he had a surgery on a broken thumb right before the playoffs began. And Jared McCann with Pittsburgh played with a separated shoulder after he missed 1 game. And Brian Dumoulin had a torn PCL also with Pittsburgh. That's what McDavid tore in the final game of his season. And then with the teams, and Zach Hyman tore his ACL as well. So that's at least a 6 to 9 month recovery there. And with teams still in the playoffs, we have Johnny Boychuk's out 3 to 4 weeks with a lower body injury with the New York Islanders. Yevgeny Svechnikov and Michael Furlan are still out with upper body injuries for the Carolina Hurricanes. David Krejci's day-to-day with an undisclosed injury after taking a high hit from Riley Nash in last night's game. And Joe Pavelski, as we mentioned earlier, is day-to-day with an upper body injury.
Let's touch on, before we wrap up today's show, we'll touch on the NHL statement about the reffing in the Vegas and San Jose series.
Yeah, so the NHL officially apologized to Vegas for the officiating in Game 7. Both of those refs will not be officiating for the rest of the playoffs. One of those guys, Dan O'Halloran, who's a veteran in the NHL. This will be the first time in over a decade that he hasn't reffed in at least the conference finals in the NHL playoffs. So it's a big thing that at least the NHL realize the mistake, and at least those refs will not be going in the rest of the playoffs.
Well, and I know that it was a mistake, but I still feel that the linesman called that more so than the refs. So I'm surprised I'm curious to know if the linesmen are still officiating through the playoffs. I've seen on the Islanders Carolina game right now in the third, there's more controversy. Clutterbuck high sticked Van Riemsdyk on the Carolina defense off a face-off, and there was not even a penalty called on the play. But the linesman went by the bench when Van Riemsdyk was getting attended to and was bleeding. So he decided to call a 4-minute high sticking penalty on Clutterbuck. So it went from no penalty because the refs didn't see it to the linesman calling a 4-minute penalty. But it looked like it was the linesman that had his back to the play when he dropped the puck where the high stick happened. Is this something that's going to probably continue in the NHL, or do you see something like a challenge being issued for stuff like that so they can get it right?
Yeah. Like for me, I wouldn't mind seeing. Like I know fans have enough of video review already with the goalie interference and the offsides, but I think when it comes to like major penalties, I wouldn't mind seeing it just because like you had the Pavelski incident, but you also had the Michael Furland hit on Nick Dowd earlier in that Caps-Canes series where after replay, it wasn't that shouldn't have been a 5-minute penalty. Rod Brindamore lost his mind on the refs on that one. So I think when it comes to major penalties, just to make sure you get it right, or at least if you have the leagues look at it right away, so that way if they need to signal the refs to come over, then they can quickly review it, and then hey, if it's only a 2-minute penalty, or if it's like, hey, this actually wasn't a penalty at all. But even then, if you bring in video review, that just raises more question marks on penalties. Especially like you're gonna have human error. Like I saw like an article on that, like because Kerry Fraser, they had him, and of course you have the Gretzky Gilmore high sticking incident where it's just like he missed it, but he sort of just got to live with it. Because human error is it does suck that you miss the call or you make the wrong call, but you just sort of got to live with it, sort of thing.
One idea, rather than challenging it, because I think we're all challenged out already. I still think they should change the offside rule so that they're breaking the plane. It doesn't matter if your feet are on the ice or not, because then it makes it simple. It makes it easy to decide if they're in or not. But I think one of the rules that they could look at is not maybe during the regular season, but in the playoffs, they already have a senior official that is assigned to overlook the entire series. And I'd love him to be able to have an earpiece to the refs, because these are some of the greatest refs that rep through the 70s, 80s, and 90s. You know, Don Van Massenhoven, as an example, I believe was the referee in the Vegas San Jose series. A guy like him should have access to, let's say he has access to a terminal or the game, and he's able to watch replays of it, so that instead of a major turning point like that, he can just buzz down and say, hey, it wasn't a penalty, or it was a minor penalty, it's not a major, and then the right call can be made. What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, I actually would like that, because the NHL sort of has that with the concussion spotters.
Yeah,
where they have a full line of communication with the trainers and stuff. Where if they see something, they can immediately communicate to the trainers to pull that player off for concussion protocol. So you could basically have the exact same setup with the series supervisor to the refs. And I don't think that would make that much or be that much of a big deal, sort of thing. It'd just be a quick thing, giving them a little headset or a mic to listen to. But yeah, I agree with that.
And where I got that from is in soccer, they have the fourth official upstairs watching.
Yeah.
Radio down to the main ref, because the game is so fast now. Like, look at how fast the game is compared to the 70s and the 80s. I mean, I feel, could there still be human error involved? Absolutely. That's been always part of the game, but I'd still like them to try to limit that by being able to get the calls right while the game's, while the game's moving and stuff happens. So With that, remember to like and share us on Facebook at B&B Hockey Talk, as well on YouTube, B&B Hockey Talk. Leave us your comment below. Matt, you got a final word to say before we end?
Yeah. Just one last thing that we forgot to touch on. Steve Yzerman was named general manager of the Detroit Red Wings, ending Ken Holland's 21 years, 9 months, and 1 day as the general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. Holland will stay on it as a senior vice president, though I won't be surprised if he's a GM somewhere else in the NHL, especially with the Seattle coming up. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up over there. But that was the last big news piece.
I know Holland and Yzerman are friends, so I actually think Holland will stay on as president. The two of them will work Detroit together. I think this is a great move for Detroit. Yzerman, who helped build the Tampa Bay Lightning, now gets his hand on, the team that he knows and loves in Detroit, and I can see him helping to turn this team around. So good for Detroit for making that the right call. So again, thank you very much for watching today's episode. We'll be back next week with more playoff updates and all your hockey fix here on B&B Hockey Talk. We look forward to it. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next week.